Now, raging protests were seen throughout the nation against the government's radical Agnipath military recruitment scheme. The protests against the Agnipath scheme erupted in Uttar Pradesh, also Bihar, Haryana, with hundreds of angry army aspirants and other people burning tires, also disrupting rail and road traffic, demanding an immediate withdrawal of the scheme. Now, violent protests broke out in several parts of Bihar, including Jehanabad, Buxar, Chhapra, in Kaimur also, and Saharsa. Angry protesters also set trains on fire in Bihar and also in Madhya Pradesh, demanding an immediate rollback of the scheme. Railways were badly hit as 34 trains were cancelled. Internet has now been shut down for 24 hours in Haryana's Palwal as well. Let me tell you that under this big military reform, the Agnipath scheme, youngsters between 17.5 to 21 years of age will be inducted as Agniveers into the armed forces for a period of just about 4 years. And thereafter, only 25% would be retained on a permanent basis. Now, in Bihar, MLA Aruna Devi bore the brunt of anti-Agnipath protesters who attacked her SUV and even vandalized it in the Navada district. In fact, Bihar ADG Law and Order advised the protesters to put forward their demands in a memorandum.
हम लोग आ रहे थे नवादा, हम लोग की जानकारी नहीं था। अचानक वो 3 नंबर जो स्टैंड है वहीं हम लोग गाड़ी क्रॉस किया। हम लोग को पता नहीं था कि क्या चीज़ का भीड़ है और काहे भी लोग मैंने घेरे और गाड़ी घुसा और वो लोग जो है झंडा बोर्ड सब मोचोड़ के फेंक दिया है। भाई जो ईंटा पत्थर चलाना शुरू किया, अभी भी गाड़ी में ईंटा है, बांस है और हमारा ड्राइवर के एक और साथ है, सबको लगा है, ईंटा से चोट भी लगा है। छत्ती हुआ पूरा शीशा तोड़ दिया और गाड़ी का बॉडी तोड़ दिया। हम लोग थे 4 आदमी, सिक्योरिटी और 5 ड्राइवर।
छात्रों से मेरा यही अनुरोध है कि जो अपनी बात है या कहना चाहते हैं उसको एक मांग पत्र के माध्यम से सामने रखें और तोड़ फोड़ और इस तरह से सरकारी संपत्ति को क्षति अगर पहुंचाएंगे तो बाय नेम FIR भी होगा। हमने कहा है कि वीडियोग्राफी भी कराएं और जो लोग इसमें उपद्रवी तत्व शामिल हैं उनके खिलाफ FIR होगी, बाय नेम FIR होगी।
Well, yes, protests have taken place on this entire Agnipath scheme of the government, and these protests have largely been centered. Of course, they have been taking place in different parts of the country, but from Haryana to Uttar Pradesh to Bihar, largely, of course, the protests being focused in Bihar, where even trains, buses, all sorts of, arson has been seen, and these protests taking a very, very violent turn today, because clearly it is the issue of employment. And one, of course, these youth have come out and articulated that they feel that this is something where they had a chance to get a secure job, and instead what has happened in this particular situation is that it has been reduced to just a 4-year affair. The bigger question, of course, that many have raised, including those who are experts in defense, is that whether the level of training and motivation is 4 years is really enough for that. Is 4 years best or best suited, in fact, to actually get a soldier prepared to actually lead the country into war, to fight for his nation? Those are going to be some very, very important aspects. The government, of course, has put out a fact checker. The government, for its part, says there are a lot of myths are being spread for various reasons on this entire issue, that there will be enough care that is taken. The Education Ministry coming out to say that those who have just passed their class 10, if they go into the scheme through the National Open University, they will be given the 12th certificate. Also, of course, have come out to say in the past that they would be given jobs, would be considered for various police forces in different states, including the state of Uttar Pradesh. The Home Ministry has in the past come out to say that they would be considered for preferential role as far as paramilitary forces are concerned. So this back and forth certainly is underway at this point of time. Remains to be seen what is actually going to happen on ground.
Now, protests were seen in various parts of the country over the Agnipath scheme that the centre has now rolled out. However, Bihar was the centre point of it all. My colleague Aditya is joining me from Bihar to actually get us a sense of what has been decided now that we've also played the bite of the EDG, on the broadcast for you guys. Aditya, thank you so much for joining me. Now, the ADG really saying that the protesters need to put forth their demand basis a memorandum. However, what really played out through the day was anything but as systematic. The protesters really flew off the handle, setting trains on fire. Can we really expect them to put their demands through a memorandum?
Well, exactly. As far as serious contestants or candidates are concerned, of course, they are supposed to send their memorandum to the authorities concerned. But that being said, the way things unfolded during the entire day and in different districts implies very different. I mean, you can clearly see that there is some sort of back-end coordination that was actually conducted so as to ensure that that many people reach that particular place on exact times leading to the incident. So this is something that is actually making things skeptical.
Right, Aditya, thank you so much for joining us. With all those details, Aditya there has been tracking all the protests that have dotted various places of Bihar today, and all this over the Agnipath scheme that has been rolled out. And of course, there has been ample criticism that has come the centre's way, with the Congress party really upping the ante and criticizing the government over this 4-year Agniveer platform that has been given to the youngsters, calling them Agniveers, and so that they are inducted into the army for these 4 years in order to get a sense of military life. We'll have to see how far does this particular scheme really go forth. However, this is something that the centre is having to deal with heat over Agnipath. All right, let's shift focus now. The centre is being heavily criticised by the opposition on the Agnipath scheme. So supporting the youth leaders, the youth who have in fact protested today, the support came in from leaders like Rahul Gandhi and also Priyanka Gandhi, Arvind Kejriwal, even Akhilesh Yadav, who lashed out at the centre, like I just about mentioned. The Congress MP Rahul Gandhi pointed out that the recruits' future will be at stake, as they will not have a stable future after 4 years of service. Even former Finance Minister Chidambaram said that it is a mockery of defence training and it will be demotivating for the soldiers.
It appears to us that the scheme makes a mockery of training, inducts into the defence forces an ill-trained and ill-motivated soldier, and discharges a disappointed and unhappy ex-soldier into the society. The age of recruitment, 17 to 21 years, raises numerous questions. They show that the scheme was poorly conceived and hastily drawn up. We would urge the government to keep the Agnipath scheme in abeyance, hold wide consultations with serving and retired officers, and address the issues of quality, efficiency, and economy without compromising on any one of the 3 considerations.
युवाओं को जो 2014 से पहले एक जो निराशा का वातावरण था, उस वातावरण को आशा में बदलने का काम हमारे देश के यशस्वी प्रधानमंत्री मोदी जी के नेतृत्व में हुआ। अगले 18 माह में 10 लाख नौकरियां देने के निर्णय ने जहां पूरे देश के युवाओं को एक आशा और विश्वास दिया है, और इस महाअभियान की शुरुआत अग्निपथ योजना को प्रारंभ करने से की गई है।
Let's now get you a Mirror Now exclusive, as my colleague Swarali has spoken to the former chairperson of the Shekatkar committee. The Agnipath recruitment scheme is based on this committee's recommendation. Now, DB Shekatkar has said that false information is being spread about the scheme, and those who are unaware of the details are going ahead and criticizing the government. Listen in.
No change in the selection process. The only point is, earlier they were selected for 7 years, 15 years length of service. Now they will be selected for 4 years. Even the pension, pay and allowances, everything will be controlled from those very center where they were getting the pay earlier. And the people who are giving this false information, they are creating, I will say, a mental blockade among the people. They are misinforming the people. They don't know the details. And without knowing the detail, they are expressing their opinion, they are criticizing the government, they are criticizing everybody. My request through your channel to the people is, don't believe in that. And my request to the young generation is, don't believe these people what they are telling you. In fact, it will be after every 4 years, you will keep getting the younger lot. And today, considering our deployment on the borders, particularly against China and also against Pakistan, these are all in mountains, in high altitude area. And therefore, you require physically fit people. As they are working today in the armed forces, they'll continue to work the same. There'll be just no change. Because if you make a change, his fighting ability will come down.
Let's get you the other big story that we are tracking on the broadcast today. Congress MP Rahul Gandhi, who got a reprieve for a day, today wrote to the Enforcement Directorate seeking extension till Monday now in an alleged money laundering case pertaining to the National Herald newspaper. Now, Rahul Gandhi wrote to the agency requesting a few days off owing to his mother, Sonia Gandhi's ill health. Now, remember, Sonia Gandhi had tested positive a few days ago and had developed COVID-related complications post-recovery. The Congress president is admitted to the Gangaram Hospital in the national capital. The Gandhi scion has already been questioned for 3 days straight and for over 30 hours and has been given a day's break today. The Enforcement Directorate's fourth round of grilling is scheduled for tomorrow. However, it is another day's extension, in fact, another weekend's extension that Rahul Gandhi has now sought. Let me also tell you that the Enforcement Directorate has also now summoned Sonia Gandhi for questioning in the National Herald case, and this one is going to happen on June 24th. My colleague Bhavtosh now joins me on the broadcast. Bhavtosh, another extension sought by Rahul Gandhi, but will the Enforcement Directorate comply is the big question.
Yes, Griha. In fact, the Enforcement Directorate has officially not said anything. In fact, they have said that they have not received any formal communication from Rahul Gandhi. And Rahul Gandhi's legal team claims that they had moved an application before the Enforcement Directorate asking that his questioning should be shifted to Monday. They have said that Rahul Gandhi wants to go ahead and meet his mother on Friday and also on Saturday and Sunday. His mother is in fact admitted at Gangaram Hospital in central Delhi. She is suffering from post-COVID complication. As you rightly said, that Sonia Gandhi will be asked to join the investigation on 23rd of June. Rahul Gandhi, on his part, have also said that selective leaks have happened as far as questioning is concerned. ED, on his part, have said that they have not leaked any content of his statement, and they have said that his statement is being recorded under Section 50 of the MLA. It's a typed questionnaire that has been given to him. His answers are also being typed, and that whatever he's saying is being shown to him, and if he wants to make any changes, then it's being done so. Rahul Gandhi was in fact asked to join the investigation today. He sought a relief for a day that was given to him. Now Rahul Gandhi has said that he wants to join the investigation on Monday. ED on his part have said that they have not yet got any communication from him. All eyes on Enforcement Directorate whether they give him a relief or not.
All right, Bhavtosh, thank you so much for joining us. So we will have to wait and watch whether that relief is given to Rahul Gandhi or not, and whether at all he goes ahead and meets with the Enforcement Directorate as has been agreed upon till now, tomorrow. Now, as Congress's Satyagraha against ED heat on Rahul Gandhi continues throughout the country, a delegation of the Grand Old Party is all set to be meeting the President, Mr. Ram Nath Kovind, tomorrow. The Congress leaders will submit a memorandum on the issue of entry of cops into the party headquarters and them manhandling the leaders during the protests. Now, earlier today, Congress leaders also met the Lok Sabha Speaker and the Rajyasabha Chairperson over the same issue, citing police's brutality and misbehavior. Now, earlier, a pan-India stir was also seen as the leaders escalated the Satyagraha and agitated across the Raj Bhavans. Let me also tell you that in the state of Maharashtra, Congress leaders like Balasaheb Thorat and Nana Patole were detained. On the other hand, vandalism and chaos was seen in Hyderabad as a TSRTC bus was damaged and a two-wheeler was also torched. And if we look at what happened in Chandigarh, Congress workers were detained there as well during the protests.
यहाँ के पुलिस वालों ने कल हमारे एमपीज के साथ इस तरीके की बर्ताव किए हैं कि लगता है हम सारे कांग्रेस की एमपीज और कांग्रेस की कार्यकर्ताएं आतंकवादी बन चुके हैं।
हम तो कंडम किए उसका, इसीलिए तो यहाँ शिकायत किए। वो प्रिविलेज बनता है, हमारे एमपीज को इल ट्रीट किया गया। अब बहुत से लोग हॉस्पिटल गए, फिर वो वापस आए, तो इसीलिए सारी चीजें उनको हम बताएं, उनकी इंक्वायरी करने के लिए उन्होंने कहा।
Leadership is being targeted by the union government by misusing the central agencies is what the protest is all about. The issue which has no relevance, where there is no truth, it is deliberately used to target our leadership. That is why you see people have come out in large numbers to protest against the agencies being misused.
And after Congress Neta Renuka Chaudhary's entitlement was caught on camera today, in all the drama that unfolded thereafter, the Congress leader, who was booked by the cops for not letting them discharge their duties, has defended her actions and also said that she lost her balance, so she grabbed the policeman to steady herself. The leader also claimed that she was manhandled and will apologize if the cops do too. So let me tell you that she was also being slapped with assault charges, and today Congress leader Renuka Chaudhary also held a cop's collar during a protest over Rahul Gandhi's questioning by the Enforcement Directorate in connection with the National Herald case. Now, earlier on Wednesday, Congress leader Prakash Hukkeri, who has just in fact won the MLC election, also misbehaved with an ACP in Belagavi.
I also have cases against them. I'll also file cases. They were pushing me, Baba. I have a problem with my leg. I was losing my balance, so I fell on him like that. I don't know that young man. Of course, I'll apologize to that young man. But I expect the police to apologize to me for manhandling us. Why are there so many men police around us? Ask them that question.
Two incidents that have been reported, and both these incidents about VVIP racism, because our netas, whether they are elected or even after they are out of power, very clearly continue to have these airs, and both these incidents just go to highlight this. Now, the first incident that is, of course, all been captured on camera is that of Renuka Chaudhary, who's seen surrounded by women policemen, but then she chooses to grab a male policeman by the scruff of his neck, by his collar, and of course is very clearly seen manhandling him. Now, in her own defense, she came out to say that she was actually falling, and that is why she had to grab a person next to her, and that's what led to this kind of a situation. Later, she was seen protesting inside a vehicle, saying that the police had in fact acted in an excessive manner, and that is why she was forced to resort to this. She did, of course, eventually apologize, but said the police also owes her an apology. Now, whatever may be the action of the police, the fact is that there is a legal method to deal with that. Cases can be filed. All of this very often is found on camera, and with that evidence, why not actually approach a court of law if one does feel wronged? What is the example being set by any elected leader, whether it is Renuka Chaudhary or even Prakash Hukkeri, who is seen in fact trying to show his VVIP status to a policeman as well, when he is just asked to follow the rules and laws. Just because he's an elected MLC, does this give him the right to actually in any way, boss over or bully over a cop? That's a question that certainly comes to mind. It's not the first time that this has happened. This has happened several times in the past, but these instances continuing just once again go to show how netas require to be sensitive. Just because they are elected representatives, they are meant to serve the people who actually vote them into power, not bully the officials and the system that is there to facilitate them and allow them to complete their jobs.
And my colleague Shamit is now also joining me on the broadcast. Remember, this incident happened in Hyderabad where Renuka Chaudhary supposedly went ahead, manhandled a police officer. Shamit, I believe there is a reaction that is, or probably a statement that has also come from the police's side, because now Renuka Chaudhary has come on record and said that she will apologize to the cops specifically, but the police also must apologize.
Well, actually, this incident has reported today afternoon at around 1:30 p.m. after, protesters started gathering Griha at Khartaba Junction, we can say, at PJ statue. Hundreds of Karyakartas initially gathered there, and later big leaders started coming in, and they even gathered there. And after, youth Congress leaders have gathered there, and also we were continuously doing lives there. The mirror now, when we spoke to a few leaders there, they said that it is just nothing but a peaceful protest, a Satyagraha. We can say that is what they said actually, speaking to us today morning. And this peaceful protest, all of a sudden, no one was expected. No one, even the police were less in number. They thought that they will not resort to violence. Finally, youth Congress leaders, all of a sudden, they started vandalizing a TSRTC bus, and also they have brought in a two-wheeler Activa, scooty actually, and they have burned this. They have tossed this vehicle in the Khartaba Junction, one of the biggest junction in the Hyderabad city, which leads to several big areas. We can say just 500 meters away from that spot, Governor office is located, Raj Bhavan is located, 1.5 kilometer radius, Chief Minister office residence is located. In just 500 meters, police station is located, and big 5-star hotels are located, and thousands of commuters were commuting on that road when this youth Congress leaders tossed that vehicle. However, public, they have endangered nearly endangered the public life, because they have also pelted huge stones, we can say, while vandalizing the bus. There were several women passengers in that bus. They have really, panicked, havoc-like situation created there. Finally, police have entered into the situation. Even at that spot, when they were vandalizing the bus, several police officers were assaulted by the youth congressmen. Later, Renuka Chaudhary came into the picture, along with the halabais, around 10 women, we can say. And when police tried to take her into the custody at Raj Bhavan, where there is no police permission, where they have illegally entered into that premises, because it is very much clear that you are not having any governor's appointment. You can't just go and enter into the governor office just like that. And also, say they have given a call for the seize of governor office. Finally, when they tried illegally to enter into that premises, police were trying to take that situation into control. And at that time, when there were 10 to 15 male officers, 10 to 15 women officers, Renuka Chaudhary finally, she has held a collar of the police officer who was on duty, local sub-inspector of the local Panjaguda police station, and finally assaulted that police officer. Finally, she was taken to the Golconda police station, and even there, her defiance, we can say, she was reluctant to step down from the vehicle. She finally sat in the vehicle for 2 to 3 hours before police let her go. And a case has been registered against her under relevant sections of IPC, including 149, 140, 151, including the assault section 323, some 324, and 353 for obstructing the government servants from discharging their duties. So all these sections have been imposed against her, invoked against her, and even Revant, chief of TPCC, has been booked. Even the youth Congress leaders who have tossed this two-wheeler and also vandalized this government's property, the bus has been booked under relevant sections of IPC by the local Panjaguta police. They said that soon they'll be initiating action, and also the police have let her go only because after 5 p.m. they couldn't keep a woman in a police station, so they have let her go, and they said that notices will be served to all these netas. If needed, they will be arrested.
Absolutely. Shamit, thank you so much. So more than just 3 cases registered against Renuka Chaudhary, and like Shamit was mentioning, she is still defiant. She said she is only going to apologize to the person whose collar she ended up holding, just in order to keep herself from falling down, because she says that she lost her balance. She is not going to be apologizing for her actions, which people are really playing out from what it really was. That is what her argument is, and she's standing by with that argument, and there is now a statement that's also come out, like Shamit was telling us about. Meanwhile, we're getting some breaking news on the broadcast. Let's take a look at that. All right, we are being told that a building has collapsed in the Paharganj area of the national capital, where 3 people thankfully have been rescued. However, several others are feared to be trapped inside. 7 fire engines have been rushed to the spot, and this information is being shared to us by the Delhi Fire Department. We are still trying to ascertain more details about where is this building exactly in Paharganj, what was the reason for the collapse. However, we do know that several people could still be trapped within the debris. We're trying to ascertain more details. However, we can tell you that this incident has happened in the national capital, in Delhi, in the Paharganj area. 3 people have been rescued after the building collapse really was reported. However, there are more people who are feared to be trapped inside. Trying to ascertain as much details as possible on this, but this is the latest that we can bring to you. We will soon play out visuals as and when we get them, and come back to this big story that we are tracking, because we'd like to ascertain more details about what really caused this building to collapse. Whether this was an under construction building or a fully built building, we yet do not know. However, what we can tell you is that 3 people have been rescued from the spot where this building collapse was reported. However, several others are feared to be trapped inside, and 7 fire engines have been rushed to the spot to actually ascertain the situation. All right, let's shift focus now to Maharashtra. Marathi actor Ketki Chitale, who was arrested for sharing objectionable post against NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar, has now been granted bail in one case. But despite this, she will continue to remain in jail as other case is still pending, and a hearing of that will happen on June 21st only. Now, earlier in the day, she'd moved the Bombay High Court seeking that her arrest be declared illegal and that she should be released immediately. Meanwhile, the National Commission for Women has summoned Maharashtra DGP for a hearing now. My colleague Arunil now joins me on the broadcast for more on this. Arunil, a very, very important development that we've got for our viewers from Maharashtra. Now, this is also, in a sense, trying to trifle dissent, something that has been seen in other parts of, the country, especially in states like Uttar Pradesh. But this one coming from Maharashtra, a statement made supposedly against NCP Supremo Sharad Pawar, and an actor lands in jail, and that too for a month now. She is still in jail, and despite the bail, she still remains lodged in it.
Well, Hina, why this is more significant is because there has been a charge from the opposition that whoever counters or questions the ruling BJP government at the center, stringent action has been taken against them. Now, Ketki Chitale, a Marathi actress, is a very classic example, and obviously it provides fodder to the BJP government, the BJP opposition in the state of Maharashtra as well, because what it does is the BJP is questioning that Ketki Chitale put up only a mere post that was also indirectly hinting towards Sharad Pawar, and since 1 month she's been languishing in jail. Now, what are the 2 developments that you also spoke about? One is that in the Rabale case, at the Rabale police station, she was literally mercilessly beaten up by NCP party workers. Now, she has been granted bail in the Rabale case. However, she will still have to be in the jail. The reason for that is she has another case from the Kalwa police station. Like that, she has some 22 FIRs being registered against Ketki Chitale. That is a very big development. And another development that you mentioned about was the National Commission of Women, beg your pardon, giving out a summon to the Maharashtra DGP, Director General of Police, the state of Maharashtra Police, about Ketki Chitale. That is also a very significant development if you look at it. So it mounts pressure on the Maharashtra government to a very large extent, especially the Shiv Sena and the Congress, because the post was against Sharad Pawar. They have to just support Sharad Pawar's party. The Home Ministry is with the NCP. So what exactly transpires, we will be keeping a close eye on. But the BJP clearly has upped its ante, saying that the MBA or the opposition has been blaming, saying political vendetta is happening. Anybody who criticizes the BJP, action is being taken. Then why the same thing has been happening in Maharashtra? That's what their question is. Back to you.
All right, Arunil, one last question, and this is Griha here, not Hina. I just wanted to understand, when is, the DGP going to be appearing before the National Commission for Women? Because this is an important development of the day that we've got for our viewers. So any word on that?
Maharashtra DGP is concerned, whether he will appear also, that is a big point of question that arises over here, because he is the head of Maharashtra State Police. In fact, the NCW, National Commission of Women, giving out a summons to the Maharashtra DGP speaks volume in this case. They have taken note of it, and it clearly mounts more pressure on the Maharashtra government if you look at it. And that is when, ironically, bail was granted to her in one case from Rabale that was been registered. What the lawyers have been saying, Griha, is, I've been speaking to them, that Ketki Chitale was literally beaten up. She was, to an extent, her clothes were torn at the police station near Kalamboli, but no action has been taken against the NCP party workers. And why Ketki Chitale has been put up in jail, languishing in jail for 1 month just for a mere boast? She may have done something wrong, but it hampers her entire future. Her parents are scared to come out in the open. They are scared to speak to anybody because they are afraid that NCP party workers may land up at their house as well. So it is an extremely serious situation, and obviously provides weapons and fodder to the opposition BJP in the state of Maharashtra. Back to you.
Absolutely. Arunil, thank you so much for joining me with all those details. An important development that is coming in from Maharashtra. Of course, we are keeping our close eyes on this story. All right, moving on now. The Supreme Court has sought an affidavit from the Uttar Pradesh government over the demolition drive in the state in the aftermath of violence in several cities. A reply has been sought from the Yogi Adityanath-led government within 3 days. The top court has also asked the government to ensure the petitioner's safety in the meantime. The court was hearing a petition that alleged that the government was targeting a particular community and bulldozing the properties of its members. The petitioners also alleged that no notice was given to them before the demolition. However, the government told the top court that no law was broken during the demolition drives and refuted the allegation of not serving notices before running the bulldozers. Now, we are still to ascertain whether those notices were given, but this is what the government is claiming, that notices were served before really the bulldozers grazed their establishments to the ground. However, the petitioners claim otherwise. The important thing to note here and to be underlined is that this one's coming in from the Supreme Court, as it has now sought an affidavit from the Uttar Pradesh government over this demolition template that has been set in the state. There have been so many instances where demolition drives have come to light. Bulldozer justice is a term that has become commonly used, and this is what has been questioned by the Supreme Court, as it has gone ahead and said that it cannot be the new norm. It cannot go ahead and graze someone's house to the ground. This cannot be a model of justice, and it only has to be through the process of law. If at all a property is illegal, a notice needs to be sent. In due course, the property can be razed to the ground after that due notice is served. However, the other important fact is the Supreme Court hasn't really put down anything which is to do with stopping of bulldozers in the state. They are not really intervening with the course of law. They are maintaining what they have to say about bulldozing properties which are illegal if proper procedure is followed. And this is what has come out of the Supreme Court. With that, I'm slipping into a very, very short break here on Nation Tonight. More news and updates continue on the other side. Please stay tuned. After talks over single leadership within the AIADMK emerged, senior party leader and the former Chief Minister of the state, O. Pannirselvam, held a press conference, and he said that he backs the idea of dual leadership in the party. Meanwhile, EPS is likely to hold a meeting with in Salem with senior party leaders of the party. Now remember, OPS is coordinator of the party and EPS is the joint coordinator of the party. And this power dynamics after their debacle in the state polls is what has led to the friction between the two leaders.
பொதுக்குழுவில் நாங்கள் இணைந்து இப்படி ஒரு முடிவை எடுத்து விட்டோம் என்று சொன்னால் பொதுக்குழுவில் எந்த பிரச்சனையும் வருவதற்கு இடமில்லை. ஏற்கனவே இருக்கிற நடைமுறை தொடரட்டும். அதே இப்போ ஒரு கருத்தை நாங்கள் சொல்லியிருக்கோம். என்ன கருத்து சொல்லியிருக்கிறோம்னா அது உங்கள்கிட்ட நான் சொல்லிடுறேன். ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளர் இணங்கிணைப்பாளர் தேர்தல் முறைப்படி நடத்தப்பட்டு இந்த 2 பேருமே இருக்கட்டும். 2 பேருக்கு நடந்த தேர்தலாக இருந்ததால் 2 பேருக்கு இருக்கட்டும். 14 பேர் கொண்ட ஒரு உயர்மட்ட குழு தலைவர் காலத்தில் உடனிருந்து கட்சியை உருவாக்கியவர். மாண்புமிகு அம்மாவுடைய காலத்தில் அம்மாவிற்கு உறுதுணையாக இருந்து கட்சியை வளர்ப்பதற்கு உருவாக்கியவர்கள் 17 பேர் முழுக்க சீனியர்களாக போடப்பட்டு அவர்கள் எந்த ஒரு பிரச்சனையாக இருந்தாலும் அவர்கள் முடிவெண்ணி ஒட்டுமொத்த முடிவெண்ணி எங்களுக்கு தருகின்ற பட்சத்தில் அதை மட்டுமே நாங்கள் ஒப்புதல் அளிக்கக்கூடிய ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளராக இணை ஒருங்கிணைப்பாளராக இருக்க வேண்டும் என்று அஜெண்டாவை சொல்லியிருக்கிறோம்.
And my colleague Shri Prapanch now joins me live on the broadcast. Shri Prapanch, this was a very, very important press conference that was presided over by OPS today. And of course, after all that really happened in the state of Tamil Nadu, what do you see happening when it comes to that single leadership that the cadres, half of it, are demanding when it comes to either OPS or EPS? On whose favor are the scales really tilted?
Now we can see that in the past couple of days after the district secretary meeting was held in AIADMK headquarters, there was a demand growing for a single leadership. Now we could see that several leaders have been in fact frequenting to Mr. OPS house and Mr. EPS house. Mr. EPS is now in Salem. Several leaders have gone and met Mr. EPS in Salem, and there are several leaders who are they're putting strength behind Mr. OPS. Now, Mr. OPS has come forward and given a press meet wherein he says that he wants to continue the dual leadership, and there have been many leaders trying to talk to both the leaders, trying to resolve the issue, pacify the issue, and he's also talking about a 14-member high-powered committee that will be guiding these two leaders, coordinator and joint coordinator. So we can see that OPS on his side has claimed that there should be dual leadership. However, on the other side, Mr. EPS has not reacted about it. So it's an open channel right now. There has been no official communication from that end, Mr. EPS, and however we need to wait and watch it. However, we can see that several party cadres, party leaders have been frequenting to both the leaders' house. There have been poster walls in several of the districts wherein supporters of EPS and OPS have been posting posters across the districts. Now we could see that Mr. OPS has come forward. He was at a detailed press meet. He said how he has been sacrificing various issues. He has been, in fact, while CM as 2021 assembly elections, they were to announce a CM candidate. Chief Minister candidate Edapadi Palaniswamy was announced as a CM candidate, and now we could see that he had also given a chance as a leader of opposition. So there are several things that he quoted. Even he said that while Edapadi Palaniswamy was in government, how his MLAs kind of supported him, and in fact they were one of the reasons that the government did not fall. So these are the kind of reasons Mr. O. Pannirselvam had stated during the press meet, and now he says that there are several issues that have been resolved between Edapadi Palaniswamy and OPS over talks, and he feels that this issue will be resolved. However, we need to wait and watch what kind of decision is being taken, because on 23rd of June, a resolution which is being passed, which is being tabled in the General Council meeting, has to have Mr. O. Pannirselvam's signature as well as Mr. Edapadi Palaniswamy's signature. So even even one of the signature if it is missing, they cannot table the resolution in the General Council meeting. So we need to wait and watch. Will both the leaders pacify this issue, and will both the leaders put their signature on the resolution that is going to be tabled in the General Council meeting?
Oh, absolutely. They have to come on the same page for 20th June to be successful. A very important update that we'll continue to track. Thank you, Shri Prapanch, for joining me with all those details. Meanwhile, getting some breaking news on the broadcast. Let's take a look at that. Enforcement Directorate has in fact accepted Rahul Gandhi's request for deferment of his questioning. So tomorrow he is not going to be appearing before the ED. Remember, he had requested for an extension that has been granted to him by the Enforcement Directorate. Rahul Gandhi's questioning will now take place on the 20th of June, that is Monday. This will be the fourth round of questioning in the AJL and Young India case. Sonia Gandhi will be summoned on 23rd of June. Remember, we have to still wait and watch on how is she doing health-wise. And this is what is the latest. Rahul Gandhi's deferment plea has in fact been accepted by the Enforcement Directorate. And the fourth round of questioning is now going to happen on the 20th of June for Rahul Gandhi. All right, shifting focus now. Times Network has accessed the affidavit submitted by Kerala gold scam accused Swapna Suresh. The affidavit alleges serious misuse of power, and elaborate details are also put in place on the role of the Chief Minister and his family in the gold smuggling case. Now, Swapna Suresh also claims that the Chief Minister of Kerala had sought the assistance of Sharjah ruler Sultan bin Muhammad Al Qasimi for his daughter Veena to begin an IT company in Sharjah. She further added that the favor was sought during the Sharjah sovereign's visit to Kerala in September 2017, and the consignment was brought to former Minister K.T. Jalil. My colleague Vivek now joins me on the broadcast. Vivek, Pinarayi Vijayan has a lot of answering to do now that the affidavit has been accessed by Times Network. We are getting all these details, and these are very, very shocking details that have emerged.
Exactly, very, very shocking revelations that's been made in the affidavit that's been submitted on the 6th of June by Swapna Suresh. Remember, this is an affidavit that's been submitted before submitting the 164 statement in the Principal Sessions Court in Ernakulam. And in this, there is very, very clear detailing about the involvement of Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, who tried to influence the ruler of Sharjah, Muhammad Al Qasimi, to start an IT hub in the name of his daughter Veena Vijayan. And this meeting, the indoor meeting, was held in the Cliff House, that's the official residence of Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, during September 2017, just 1 year, after the LDF-1 government came to power. And in this particular meeting, the ruler of Sharjah, Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, his wife, daughter, and even Swapna Suresh was there, and Shivashankar was all present. Now, what we understand is that after the initial deliberations, the ruler of Sharjah was not happy with this particular, this suggestion that's been put forward by Chief Minister Pinarayi Vijayan, and later, Chief Minister's wife was also had a word with the wife of the ruler. But then too, this did not, become feasible. And also, this particular affidavit talks about the consignments that's been brought to Kerala, not just in Kerala, but also to the UAE consulate in various other states, with the knowledge of K.T. Jalil and the UAE consulate in Kerala, through one of his Binami based in Maharashtra. And also it speaks about, the dates, at least 17 tons of dates, and also Quran that's been brought in various consignments to Kerala. So these are all basically, protocol violation that's been done, if at all this allegation is true. Now, it's up to the ED and the investigation agencies to get the proof from Swapna Suresh to ensure that whatever she says, there is, truth in it. For that, there needs to be a thorough investigation.
All right, Vivek, thank you so much for joining me with all those details. Shifting focus now to another big development. The Sensex and Nifty reeled for the fifth straight day to hit an all-time low. And this is in the past 1 year, an all-time low for Sensex and Nifty. What is the reason? To explain that better, my colleague Hina Gambhir is joining me on the broadcast. Yes, Hina, over to you.
Well, we saw, a sell-off on the Lal Street today with Sensex as well as Nifty closing with a cut of about 2%. Initially, in the morning when the markets opened, we did see some green on the Lal Street with Sensex rising almost 550 points because of 75 basis points hike in the rate by US Fed overnight, because this is what markets were factoring in. And suddenly we saw weakness, in the afternoon, and there is a lot of weakness because of weakness in the global markets and the uncertainty that is still continuing because of a number of reasons. Of course, the way inflation remains a concern, not just for the US, but for the entire world. The Russia-Ukraine crisis, which is still continuing. The volatility in the oil prices is another reason why, investors are quite nervous. But for India specifically, the foreign institutional investors are pulling out money from here because US market for them is becoming more and more attractive with the hike in the interest rate, and that's why we saw this kind of a bloodbath on the Lal Street today. Investors have lost a lot of money over the last few days.
Right, Hina, thank you so much for joining us with all those details and explaining to us as to why this crash has been reported from when it comes to the Sensex and Nifty, when it comes to the markets. Let's shift focus now and go to the rain misery that has been reported out of Assam and Meghalaya. Now, after massive flooding and landslides in many districts of the state in May, Assam has once again been hit by incessant and unrelenting downpour. 6 people have died so far in the landslides across Assam in the past 3 days. And if we look at Meghalaya too has been witnessing heavy rains. A portion of the national highway at Meghalaya has been washed away due to heavy downpour. In fact, the police has also issued an advisory to avoid the highway in view of the heavy rainfall forecast for Meghalaya during the next 5 days. All schools will now remain closed from the 17th of June to the 20th of June. Let's just focus now to an international update that we are bringing to you on Nation Tonight. China's foreign ministry has refuted United States of America's allegation that the countries that backed Russia's invasion of Ukraine were on the wrong side of history. China has argued that they have actively promoted peace talks and negotiations while the US kept fueling the tensions. Chinese officials further added that the government always made its judgment independently based on the historical context and merits of the issue. On to sports now. Indian batsman KL Rahul will not be playing the India-England series as he would be visiting Germany for the treatment of his groin injury. According to reports, BCCI Secretary Jay Shah has confirmed that Rahul will head to Germany for the treatment and won't be available for the England series, which comprises the rescheduled Edgbaston Test followed by a white ball series. Also, KL Rahul suffered an injury to his right groin on June 8th, and the cricketer is all set to miss the England series after getting ruled out of the ongoing T20 international series against South Africa. All right, this was the last and final story on the broadcast. Story number 10. Oscar-winning actor Kevin Spacey has been granted unconditional bail after he appeared before a London court in connection with a sexual assault case against him. The former House of Cards star is accused of 4 counts of sexual assault and 1 count of causing a person to engage in penetrative sexual activity without consent. The alleged incidents took place in London between the year 2005 in the month of March and 2008 in the month of August, and one in Western England, and this one was in April 2013. Now, in the statement that he had issued last month, Spacey had also said that he would go to court to face the charges and was confident that he would be able to prove his innocence. And that's all that I had time to pack in this edition of Nation Tonight. My colleague Tamanna joins you on the other side with Beyond the Headlines. Stay tuned for that. And thank you so much for watching Nation Tonight.